Well, welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. With only a couple days left until the NFL draft, we figured why not get you guys a Jaelan Phillips film review just to see what he's capable of doing. He's my clear-cut number one edge rusher in this draft. I know a lot of people are going to say in the comments he is not worthy being taken at 11. He's this, he's that, and the concussion history, which is a big problem for me too. That is a major issue. The concussions, he's had 3 to 4 in one season. UCLA forced him to retire. Then he came back after going to community college and, dominated at Miami. He was looking at a bunch of schools, ended up going to Miami. He had 8 sacks last year, 15 and a half tackles for loss, 45 total tackles. And the kid he's awesome. He's a great player. I've heard comparisons to him and TJ Watt and JJ Watt and Myles Garrett. And he's honestly, when you're going to see the film, he is exceptionally talented. This is not a normal pass rusher in a normal draft when he doesn't have these concussion issues. He's a top 10 selection, and you're getting a top 10 level player, and a team's going to get a steal with him. And if he stays healthy and those concussions don't come back and don't go back to bite him in the butt, he's going to be one of the best pass rushers in this draft class, if not the best. When you look at guys like Azeez Ojulari, I just saw a big analyst, say that teams have him in the 25 to 40 ranking. So that's a big thing. I think that he'll be a fantastic pass rusher. He might have some trouble sealing the edge as a run defender. That's just my personal opinion. Anthony might have a different one, and he can touch on that in a second. But I do think Jaelan Phillips is a clear-cut number one pass rusher. If the Giants took him at 11, I'd be a little concerned, but I would not be mad about it at all. It's a position that we need to upgrade. He can play 3-tech. He can play outside linebacker. He's an absolute stud. And Anthony, what do you think about Jaelan Phillips before we dive into the film?
Well, Alex, I'm a huge fan of Jaelan Phillips. We'll talk about the concussion thing in just a second, but with Jaelan Phillips as a player, this guy is a top 10 talent. He just has medical red flags, and they're serious red flags, so he's not a top 10 pick. He won't be a top 10 pick. Let's say he didn't have the concussion problems, though. He would be a top 10 pick. And when you're talking about taking a player with that kind of talent at 11 overall, every pick that you make has a risk, and every player has a risk involved with them. There's always red flags or, yellow flags even. With Jaelan Phillips, the red flags are very serious. And like I said, we're going to discuss that. But as you're going to see when we break down this film, this guy is really technically advanced as a pass rusher, far more technically advanced than anyone else in this class. I like Azeez Ojulari a lot, Alex. He is my edge 1 or 2. I really, it's dependent on how you look at those medicals, because I think Azeez is actually a really good player. But Jaelan Phillips is definitely the superior edge rusher in this class. You just can't help but be concerned about the medical history. But like I said, so technically advanced, physically gifted, more athletic than you would expect him to be at that size. Jaelan Phillips is really the complete package for an edge rusher prospect. Just has that one red flag, and it really sucks. But it also might be a blessing in disguise maybe for the Giants, because this is a guy, every year we're like, oh, if we had the 2nd overall pick, we could have gotten Chase Young. Oh, if we had the 2nd overall pick, we could have gotten Nick Bosa. Well, we have the 11th overall pick, and we can get Jaelan Phillips. Had he not had those concussions, we'd be saying, oh, if we had the 2nd overall pick, we could get Jaelan Phillips. It's kind of the same thing. He really does have that kind of top 10 talent. Could be a blessing in disguise that he has these medical red flags and actually falls to the Giants at 11. I guess we'll see how it unfolds on draft night, though.
Yeah, and they're saying that the first 10 picks in the draft could be the first time in NFL history could all be offensive players. That's how deep this class is, the offensive positions. But Jaelan Phillips, as Anthony mentioned, the red flag has him dropping. If the Giants traded back and landed him at the 15 to between 15 and 20 range, it would be an absolute steal, plus the capital they can gain. But at the same time, I'm not opposed. Like this is me saying very clearly, if they go with Jalen Waddle, if they go with Devonta Smith, Micah Parsons, any of those guys, I'm going to be 100% fine with it. I'm 100% happy with that. This is just us taking a look at Jaelan Phillips, what he has to offer. So that way, if they do end up taking him, which I think is a very real possibility, you already know what we're getting in him. You know that we're getting a very talented pass rusher who's going to make an impact day one. He's going to be our clear-cut best pass rusher immediately, aside from interior guys like Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. He's going to be our best edge rusher for the most part. But, you look at guys like Azeez Ojulari. He has one great move, Azeez, and basically it's like he grabs the outside hand of the tackle and he swipes down with a hammer blow, essentially, to get rid of those hands, and then he just uses his speed around the edge. That's his great one. Everything else is a little bit underdeveloped to good, average. Nothing else excels. He excels at except for that one move. Jaelan Phillips is very good at pretty much every pass rush move. And you'll see it throughout this video. He has swim moves. He has speed moves. He transitions from power to speed very efficiently. He's very aggressive in the run. He makes some big plays, and you're going to see it right now. So let's get started with just a short clip of seeing how athletic Jaelan Phillips is. The guy can actually do a complete backflip, which is pretty incredible. I'll tell you what, I don't know many edge rushers who can do complete backflips. And that kind of athleticism is hard to come by. But let's jump into the first clip here against Virginia Tech. And this game was his best of last season by far. As you're going to see here, is lined up as an outside linebacker, which is exactly what we need. I think the versatility he brings in the nickel formations, in the nickel packages, and a 3-4 base set. He can play outside linebacker. He can put his hand in the dirt as a 5-tech. Very, very capable of doing both. Let's take a look at what he does here. Very smooth. As you can see, he's just an incredibly very smooth pass rusher. And this right tackle never stood a chance. He beats on this right tackle all game long. And all he does is he just basically goes vertical. He puts that step inside. He forces that offensive tackle to lean to his left, to commit into the inside. Because that's the thing about Jaelan Phillips that I love about him so much, is that he's so good at reacting to what tackles are giving him. You'll see this throughout, what he does. He'll go inside, he'll go outside, and he'll start to play games with them. And he starts to get better as the game goes on. He starts to use his unpredictability to bait tackles into making mistakes, into overcommitting. So you see the tackle moving to his left side because he doesn't know where he's going to go. He's capable of going out inside and out. And right here, you see him. He's leaning to the left. He gives that little jab step. He gets vertical, and he just uses his hands. He just swipes away his hands so easily. That tackle's already lost this rep. And he's around the edge. He has very underrated speed, and he just burns him on the outside, bam, and gets after the quarterback.
Yeah, my main takeaway from that clip is just how fluid and how slippery he is. And that you're going to see that with a lot of these clips. It's really hard for offensive tackles to get a hold of Jaelan Phillips. He's just slippery. You mentioned the read and react thing. Now, that's a big part of it because he reacts and then he moves. But he's just so fluid with his movement, and it makes it so hard to really get a hold of him. The way that his hands are here, now they're here, and the way that he rips that away. It's all just very fluid. It's very technical. It's very technically advanced. So when I say that he has his full arsenal of pass rush moves, and he has all of these advanced pass rush moves, and he's really technically sound, that's what it is. His hands are so good. His hand usage is top tier, but he's just so fluid and so quick. His agility is unlike any other, at this position in this class. He's just so quick with the read and react, and the way he just slips and glides around, and he's super, super fluid. And I think that's something that when you say he's a natural pass rusher, you don't really have to teach him, right? He's just a natural pass rusher. That's what you talk about with that fluidity and that slippery feel when he's going around the edge or even going inside when he's just going up against an offensive tackle. He's a natural pass rusher who's just slippery and fluid and can easily get around offensive tackles.
Yeah, and you could make the argument he doesn't have the best bend. That's where Azeez Ojulari really comes in.
And I will make that argument. I think my number one weakness I have for Jaelan Phillips, my number one criticism about him, his pad level is often way too high. He's rushing standing straight up, which can be a problem. You wouldn't let
here.
Low. Yeah, here, but this is a specific pass rush move that he's doing. But a lot of the times you'll see him run in and he's standing straight up, and you lose leverage when you do that. When you get low and you bend underneath and then you flex upward, that's how you gain your leverage on the offensive tackle. Sometimes when he's rushing the edge, his pad level is just a little too high, and he doesn't get that leverage because he doesn't sink his hips well enough and he doesn't bend well enough. That's the only complaint that I have with Jaelan Phillips. But the thing is, on another prospect, that might be a much larger weakness to me. But with Jaelan Phillips and how many pass rush moves he has and how he wins inside, outside, bull rush, he has all of these moves. The bend around the edge is important, and he has it good enough, and it's not elite bend. It's good enough, but it's really not that big of a deal that it's not elite because he has so many other tools in his arsenal and with his pass rush moves that really get things done.
What I like the most about this clip, and you're going to see most of these clips, he's very good at transitioning his eyes. So you'll see right off the bat, you'll see him, he's looking at the tackle. Look, he's waiting for him to react. He sees the reaction. He reacts accordingly. He sees the hand come up. He bats the hand away. And then immediately after he beats him, his eyes lock on that quarterback. He locks on that ball. And then he's like a heat-seeking missile. He locks on and he's after him. I love, and you'll see this in the run game too. He's a very smart player. He's always looking at the ball. He's able to use his peripheral vision to avoid blocks and actually use pass rush moves and shedding blocks with his peripheral vision, which I really like about him. And it shows that it's a very advanced trait. He doesn't always have to be looking at his blocking assignment. he always has his head up, looking at the ball, trying to find out where the ball carrier is, if it's a quarterback, if it's a running back, whoever it might be. He always manages to find where the ball is, and he gets around his guy, and he gets to the quarterback or running back very efficiently. And that's one of the things that really impresses me about him. He's such a smart player, and he shows up on film, with his head and his IQ. He just has very good spatial awareness too, and you'll see him make some really nice inside moves. So here's in the 5 tigs on the outside, and here, like I said before, he's very good at baiting offensive tackles to do different things. So here, he's been torturing this tackle all day long. He's going inside, he's going outside. So the guy has no idea where he's going to go. Some guys really only have outside moves. Maybe they're only speed guys. Like Azeez is more of a speed guy. He's not very good at planting and going inside. He'll beat you on the outside with his speed. That's what his primary strength is. But now you'll see Phillips is really, really good at baiting. So like right here, you see that left foot on the outside. He gives that little bait to the outside so the tackle thinks he's going out because he doesn't know yet. He doesn't know what's going on because he's done this so many times. He has no idea which direction he's going. Inside, swims. He puts his hand up. He uses that right hand to club those hands away so he can't get the inside pad level. And then bam, he just swims him and he's gone instantly. That's the difference in pass rush moves. He has so many pass rush moves. You have no idea what he's going to do. He's very reactive. You'll see some pass rushers, they already predetermine what they're going to be doing before the snap is even happening. They know what they're going to be doing. They know, their strengths. They do what they do best. But with Jaelan Phillips, he doesn't know what he's going to be doing. He has a variety of things he can do. He looks at what the offensive tackle is doing. He reacts accordingly, and then he uses that variety of moves with very quick IQ, very good football instincts, and he swims this guy and he gets after the quarterback and collects the sack. I mean, you can't really find a player with this many pass rushers who can execute so efficiently and quickly, and also toy with offensive tackles regularly throughout a game.
Yeah, again, like I mentioned, the agility, right? When you say he's a natural pass rusher, this is that fluidity, that agility that he has where he just slips past offensive tackles. He's too quick. I say it all the time when I'm talking about Jaelan Phillips. Offensive tackles literally cannot get their hands on him. Look at this. He never touches him. This offensive tackle's hands never touch Jaelan Phillips' chest until he's already past him. He's already past him, and then finally he gets his hand up. He's just too quick. He's got too much fluidity and too much agility for his position. It's insane. And that juice off of the edge, whether it's going inside, outside, around the tackle's shoulder, he's just very quick, and it's very hard for offensive tackles to touch him. Now, granted, in the NFL, offensive tackles are larger, longer, quicker, of course, but Jaelan Phillips still has all those pass rush moves. He's got a really nice swim move like you're seeing here, and he doesn't only win on the edge. He wins on the inside, which is really important. Now, I think that, Azeez, we're going to compare him to the rest of the guys in this class, right? Azeez Ojulari is, really good at winning around the edge and getting the speed and getting the outside shoulder. He doesn't really win on the inside too frequently. He does have some length limitations, and he does have a little bit of strength limitations, and that's probably why. But with Jaelan Phillips, you don't have those length limitations. You just have strong, long arms, and he can win from any angle. And right here, you see him win on the inside with agility, really nice swim move. And again, he's just so quick. It's really hard for offensive tackles to even get their hands on him.
Yeah, I also like how Miami kind of does him some favors here. They really scheme to get him into these 1v1, get him into space so he can attack these 1v1 assignments very efficiently. You can see the defensive tackle, over the guard here, really does a good job of stepping inward towards the A-gap, towards the center. He makes that guard kind of shift to the left a little bit, opens up a big hole inside, and Phillips sees that immediately. He's like, this is my one-way ticket right through that C-gap, right to the quarterback. His defensive teammate really helps him out there, gets that guard to overcommit to the interior, opens up a big hole for Jaelan Phillips to use that swim move in, and he pretty much is untouched all the way to the quarterback. So that's really, really nice to see that his teammates are also contributing. And the Giants, as we know, you line up Jaelan Phillips next to Leonard Williams or Dexter Lawrence, they command so much attention, double teams. He's going to have so much space to work with on the outside. He's going to have very, very efficient pass rush moves because he has such a variety of them, and he can win on the outside, he can win on the inside. He's going to have a field day with those interior guys. I think if there's any pass rusher they're eyeing, it's Jaelan Phillips. It's not Azeez Ojulari unless they're looking in the second round for one, or looking to trade up even or trade back for another guy. But I think Jaelan Phillips is probably their guy if they're going pass rusher at 11. Again, I have no idea if they will, but if there's anyone that's worth going at 11 for, it's him. But again, the concussions, maybe not an 11th overall pick, maybe a 15 to 20 range guy.
Yeah, and what I'll say, I want to just put that last clip back up for a second. That was definitely like a really nice stunt that the Miami defense put together. You could technically call that a schemed together sack. You could say this was schemed open. I personally don't think so. I think, just his quickness and fluidity is what got him open. He propelled through that hole. And I think that, yeah, it was really well done with the stunt. But one thing that I'll say about that, if you want to say that this was a schemed open sack, I don't think it was.
Maybe not
The
scheme, but
Giants,
he's
the
only he
Giants
was, he
run
was
a
good enough.
lot of stunts, though. He's going to do a lot of stunts if he's on the Giants. If he gets drafted by the Giants, one thing that you want to see is they have traits in college that translate to your NFL scheme, right? The Giants run a lot of stunts like this. Alex just mentioned it with Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence. Even a lot of the times they'll take like Tay Crowder, or they'll take their off-ball linebacker Blake Martinez. They'll take them and they'll have them run the stunts with the edge rushers. And I think that's really interesting. Patrick Graham does a lot of really creative things. So in terms of running stunts, having the IQ to do that and doing it really well, and then also having that fluidity and agility to just slip past an offensive tackle on this stunt, Jaelan Phillips, really good scheme fit. I see the traits that translate to Patrick Graham's scheme, and there's going to be a lot of stunts ran for him if he does get drafted by the Giants.
I would agree with that. I mean, he's just so fast and he can do so many things. So love to see it. Just the versatility, the diverse array of pass rush moves he does acquire. And the Giants need someone like that. They don't have someone right now that really has all of those different pass rush moves that they can utilize. Pretty kind of slow. Like Ocean Eximit is a kind of slow off the line of scrimmage. Lorenzo Carter got a lot better, but was just kind of limited. He tried to use that length and bend around the edge a lot. He just doesn't really have the strength to be like a premier. He can't bull rush very well. He's using that length to try and keep that extension. Keep the room between his arms and the offensive tackles we can't get in the interior. But hopefully Lorenzo Carter can be a little bit better next season. But let's see what we got here. So nice little run play. I wanted to put this in here because I really liked how Jaelan Phillips kind of baited this running back to go up to the inside rather than go to the outside. So he takes this draw play, and Jaelan Phillips does a good job of shading outside. So the running back sees him. You see the running back looking at him, and he's going to follow his block to the interior, but he really just doesn't want him to bounce outside because there might be some more room out there, and Miami crashes down to the interior. And I like how he kind of seals that outside. He seals the edge and allows his defenders to fill that gap. And they come in and they make the tackle. So I kind of like that about what Jaelan Phillips did. He kind of like just baited him to the interior so we didn't have more room to run on the outside. Just a small thing. I think it was on purpose. I don't know, Anthony, what do you think about this? Do you think he got outmanned, or do you think this was a design thing that he wanted to force that running back to make a decision to go interior?
No, I think this is a good run defense play because what's happening here is, as an edge rusher, especially as a 5-tech in this situation, your job is to seal the edge, not give that running back that cutback lane, that outside lane. So he does that well. He seals the edge. You can see he's got the one arm up near the almost near the chin of that offensive tackle. He's controlling him. I talk about this pretty much every time I do any film breakdown on defensive line or offensive line play. When you have control of the offensive tackle's chest, you have control of the whole play. You win the rep. And he does that. He gets control. He's so strong. He's got one hand. He's just stabbing him up on the top of the chest. He's controlling him, which is good. But, like you mentioned, it's not necessarily that he's baiting him to go inside, I don't think. He's just sealing the edge as he's supposed to. But the reason for that, he has a job. When you're playing run defense, every defensive lineman has a job, right? Okay. So his job is to seal the edge and create that gap for his linebackers to get into and secure that. Say he went towards the inside move on that. He went to the inside shoulder, that offensive tackle. Well, then this running back has a clear-cut lane to the outside. He can just bounce this thing outside, and now you have your linebacker out of position because you're not playing your gaps. Everyone has to play their specific gaps here, and Jaelan Phillips, his role, his job there was just to seal the edge, and he does that really well, and he makes this only a 3-yard game when it could have been at least 10 or so. If he didn't seal the edge properly. So it's a good job sealing the edge. Personally, with Jaelan Phillips, if I had to give like a score for his run defending, I'd give him like a B. I think that he's like a B plus run defender. But I think his football intelligence and his ability to play his role and do his job is an A plus. Like, he is a smart player, and I think that's kind of more what you're seeing here.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty impressive how he's able to control an offensive tackle with one arm. Talk about strength. That's a big man right there. But let's go on to the next clip. So here's in the 5-tech, down lineman, and what I like a lot about him is his ability to be versatile. Azeez Ojulari, mainly an outside linebacker, projected as a 3-4 outside linebacker. He uses that speed very efficiently. Doesn't have a ton of experience as a down lineman, but he can do it. I think Jaelan Phillips is just so refined in both as OLB and a 5-tech. I even think he has the size to transition even into 3-tech if they needed him there. I wouldn't do that all the time. Doesn't have that big of a size, but I think he does have some decent pass rushers from an interior standpoint. But again, you're drafting him to be an edge rusher, not an interior guy. So let's see what he has to offer here. Nice little spin move. Honestly, that reminded me a lot of Leonard Williams. Kind of said that before we started the video. This clip exactly, he engages here and he waits. He waits for that quarterback to make a move. He has his eyes on the quarterback. He's watching, and the second he steps up, look at that spin move, and bam, that looks like Leonard Williams. Does that not look like him, Anthony?
I definitely do see a little bit of Leonard Williams there, but really my main takeaway is just that read and react that we keep mentioning. Like you say it, he had his eyes on the quarterback. He's waiting. As soon as that quarterback makes his move, he reads it, he reacts, he just spins off of it and makes a play. And that is really, really impressive. He's trying to rush the interior. He's trying to get on the guard because they're sending a cornerback or safety blitz off of the edge here. Miami is. So it opens it up for him to take on the guard one-on-one. Now, the thing is, and anytime you talk to any edge rusher, we just talked to Afadi Odenabo, right? And he told us the guard is the least athletic guy on the field. That's what coaches tell you. So if you can scheme it so that you get on the guard, that's when you'll win. So I think Miami does a good job here scheming it so that he is a one-on-one with the guard rather than the tackle. And then, of course, he's going to take advantage of that because this is the most athletic defender on the field against the least athletic offensive lineman on the field. So it's a good, again, scheme thing. Miami does a really good job. They're one of the best, football schools in the country. So they do a good job here scheming Jaelan Phillips into a nice situation with a one-on-one. And then I love the way that he reads and reacts. And then, of course, just how quick he is with that spin move. Uses his hands really well, and he just flies around, makes the tackle. Really, really nice play, again, by Jaelan Phillips.
I know why this reminds me of Leonard Williams. I was thinking of it because on that spy he had against Russell Wilson against Seattle, where he's kind of just standing there and he uses that spin move.
He did spin off of that. I remember
that's what reminded me of Leonard Williams, because he's right here. He's looking at the quarterback. He's waiting for him kind of to take that pocket, and then he just bam, spin moves. That's what really, it just looks so similar to that spin move that Leonard Williams put on that tackle, and I liked that a lot. But again, another spin move, another pass rush move. You don't know what this guy's going to do. He's not going to just use the same thing over and over and over again, so you can adjust. You can't make second half adjustments against Jaelan Phillips. He's going to find ways to beat you. He's going to use this vast array of pass rush moves. And then you have, at the college level, I know they have Quincy Roche on the other side and Russo, but, he's their primary pass rusher. And Russo didn't even play last year. So you're basically like, you can try and scheme out specific defenders and players on the field. And I think they probably tried to do that once they realized that he was going to be all over their quarterbacks and their running backs. But another inside swim move here, just to show you right here. I mean, look, I love that little bait. I love what he does with that outside, that left foot is so awesome because he's baiting these tackles all game long. And the second look, he baits, he opens up the offensive tackle, opens up that right foot, opens up his frame entirely and leans to the right. And then bam, he sticks his foot in the ground and he swims him. The second he reacts, the second that offensive lineman reacts to that inside jab step, Jaelan Phillips already swimming over him. He's so quick to react. And we're talking about a split second. We're talking about he sees that slight movement of weight, and he's all over it. And he's attacking that move. And it's just so easy for him. And look, by the time he's gone, look how far ahead of his knees that this offensive tackle is. He spins him, and look at this. He is literally about to fall forward. He just got beat so badly. He completely whiffs him. He has no idea. It's pretty impressive to see. Another sack for Jaelan Phillips, and another example of why this kid is going to be pretty good at the NFL level, I think. And another one, just a bull rush. Look, he's in his chest. This is an example, Anthony, of his pad level being probably perfect right here. He is pretty much putting his head down and running straight through this guy right there. He lowers his pad level, and he's just literally in his chest running. He just runs right into the quarterback. That tackle has no chance. What are you thinking about these two clips? Because I think it's pretty damn impressive.
I think, once again, you're talking about fluidity. You're talking about slipperiness. The way that he slips around these offensive linemen, no one can really get their hands on him. And when they do, he's just too strong, right? So everything that he does right there, that swim move, His pad level is really high there, but of course he's using a specific move, so that's fine. That swim move, it's just so slippery. How are you going to defend that? He's too quick for you. And then again, he does it, right? You just can't get your hands on him. Offensive linemen literally struggle just to touch Jaelan Phillips. And I think that's awesome. He's just so quick. The way that he glides around people, those swim moves are deadly. That's definitely the number one pass rush move that he uses the most. That's his best pass rush move for sure, but it's because of how quick he is. His agility is crazy. No one can get their hands on him. So when he just swims right over you, what are you going to do? Except you're just going to let him run past you because you can't even touch him. Again, yeah, so much too slippery.
I just realized we actually were on the second clip. He's been playing the edge so much. He's actually playing on the interior here on that second clip right here. You'll see. He's actually playing on the interior. And he baits, and he does the same thing anyway. He baits on that left side. He puts that Jeff CC 15 in the middle there. I was looking at the outside guy. 15, he's actually playing interior. And he gives that right guard, a nice little jab step to the outside. And he does the same thing again. He just swipes his hands away. Another swim move. The guy is just swimming these guys over and over and over again. And look at this guard here. He has no way he's winning this rep. No way he's winning this rep. He's all over. Look, he's leaning forward. No, he's almost falling down too. He's like, holy shit, the guy just beat the crap out of me. And look, he's already after him. He puts the hit on the quarterback. He gets away, but still, you're just another example of how he's getting to the quarterback so efficiently.
Of course, yeah, he can rush from anywhere.
Exactly. So let's take a look at this next clip here. And I like this because even though he doesn't hit the ball carrier here, he does such a good job taking two blockers out of this play on this running play. He takes out two blockers and allows his defense to rally. So right here, he basically just jams that inside block, right? And he takes out three guys. I mean, talk about just fundamentals. That's what you're supposed to do. You're taking away those blockers before they even make it to the line of scrimmage. He sees that. Look how well he recognizes this. He's watching the quarterback. Again, reactionary. He's looking to diagnose this play. It's an option play for the quarterback. And he realized he's watching. And the second he sees that ball get to the quarterback, he lays that shoulder into that pulling guard, and he takes out the guard, the tackle, and hits the running back, and gets the tackle. I mean, this is why I think he's a good run defender, by the way. You don't see this from many other pass rushers in this draft class. That's just, and you'll see this a lot because he's such an aggressive player. You know, he's very aggressive. He keeps going, he keeps moving. His reactions are split second. He's on it. The second he recognizes it, he's already on the play. So that's what I like the most about him in terms of the running game.
Yeah, this is a sick play. Like, this play is actually disgusting, the way that he just abuses three people on this play. It's really awesome. And one thing that I'll point out here on that play, you'll notice his pad level is really low. He gets really low. He sinks down, gets those hips low, and then just bends upward. He gains that leverage on that offensive lineman. So when I say like his pad level is sometimes too high, it is. There's also a lot of times where he does get it low and he does gain that leverage. But this is why I make that a real focal point with Jaelan Phillips. He needs to get low and he needs to gain that leverage more often and not be standing up straight and getting too high with his pad level, because plays like this are where you see you can take advantage of that low pad level and really just beat offensive linemen down, especially in the running game when you gain that leverage, because that's something with the defensive tackles very often, right? Like Tyler Shelvin out of LSU is a guy that I really like. You'll notice with him, he gets really, really low and he gains that leverage. Like, you can really sink down low for a guy his size, and then he gains the leverage on those centers. That's one thing that you see in the running game. It's really important to gain that leverage by getting really low. And Jaelan Phillips does a really good job here gaining that leverage. And this is just a sick play. The strength, the contact, power to just bulldoze through those two players and get that tackle. It was a phenomenal play.
This is a Pro Bowl level NFL play. You know what I mean? Like, you see this from Pro Bowl level players at the NFL level, and you're seeing a play like this from a college player. And this type of stuff translates to the NFL. That type of awareness, reactionary playmaking and decision making, that translates to the NFL level, and very, very intelligent. He's strong as hell. He took out a guard, a tackle, and a running back in one play and one swift move. You cannot denounce that absolute incredible strength either. So here's an outside linebacker spot, stand-up edge rusher. See what he does here. Again, I love – so some people will find flaws and red flags in that aggressiveness in the run game. But, you know, I was watching another film breakdown of Brett Coleman, and he said he makes a perfect correlation between Jaelan Phillips and TJ and JJ Watt. And they do this at the NFL level very regularly. And he makes this correlation because there's not many pass rushers at the NFL level that can even do this. And basically what he's doing is he sees this running play. It's obviously running play. The entire offensive line is shifting. He sees that, and he just gets vertical. He swipes that off. He sheds that block easily. He gets vertical. He breaks through that protection barrier, and he gets after the running back and gets the tackle for a loss. He had 15 and a half tackles for a loss last year. And we're talking about a player who isn't getting soaked up by this transitioning offensive line that's sliding to the right side. He's not getting soaked up by this guard. He's not getting soaked up by this tackle, by this center pushing across. Instead, he's using that tackle as leverage. He's grabbing him and he's throwing and passing him and using him as actually like a rocket propeller to get into that backfield, and just gets vertical. He squares up, makes the tackle. I mean, that's why I think he's actually an exceptional run defender, because you don't see very many players who can do this type of thing. And the aggressiveness does get him in trouble sometimes. Sometimes he does overcommit. He does miss tackles because of that. But I'd rather him hit on 2 of these and then miss on 1 of them, because those 2 are tackles for losses instead of big plays. He misses on 1 of them. Maybe they pick up 10 yards, but he gets 2 tackles for losses. He gets to a third down, a third and long, and then you have a good chance of getting out of this without allowing the offense to score any points. I think his aggressiveness is actually a major bonus, and at the NFL level, that those plays like this are going to come up handy.
Yeah, again, this is an amazing play again with that slipperiness, right? He's so slippery, so fluid, and he's so quick for offensive linemen. Again, I keep saying it because it keeps showing up on the tape. Offensive linemen really just struggle to get their hands on Jaelan Phillips. His first step is really quick. His second step is even quicker somehow. And then he's just very smart, technically sound. And this is a play that does remind me of TJ Watt. I think that's a really good comparison by Brett Coleman. And I think that if you want to go watch another breakdown of Jaelan Phillips, Brett Coleman did do an excellent job making that comparison between him and the Watt brothers. And that play in particular is the one where you look at it and you say, okay, now that is a rare trait. That's something that a lot of pass rushers in the NFL can't do. And this guy's in college and he's doing this in the running game, just slipping around players. Like that is really impressive. It's rare. And that's why I keep saying it. This guy is a top 10 talent who has some red flags, and he's going to fall outside the top 10. And he could potentially be a real steal for an NFL team later on in the draft if his medicals check out throughout his career.
He's going to be a steal, guys. I mean, I know a lot of people won't want him because of the red flags, of the concussions, but when he is healthy, he is going to be a fantastic player, and whatever team he is on is going to get a premier pass rusher. That is the reality. So, don't be too quick to be mad if they pick him. Don't be too quick to say, he's not worth it at 11, because there are a ton of other players I'd rather take. I think Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, just to name a few, Micah Parsons, elite level talents, Rashawn Slater. I would take them before I would take Jaelan Phillips, but I will say this, I will not be mad if the Giants take him, because, we're talking about a defense. Just think of the concept of a number 1 defense in the NFL. Think about how good of your defense has to be the number 1 defense in the NFL. Think about how we got Adoree Jackson. Now we have an experienced group of secondary guys, these another year together. Xavier McKinney didn't even play the entire season. Jaelan Phillips is an above-average pass rusher who can get a ton of sacks, and you have him paired with Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. You're going to get sack production out of this player. He's going to be very good for you. He's going to make this defense one of the top in the NFL, and that is something to be happy and proud of. I'm not going to sit here and act like I would be upset if we took him, because he is a phenomenal player. He is a phenomenal pass rusher. Again, without the concussions, he is a top 10 player in the NFL draft, but you still have to factor in those issues, and the fact that one wrong hit could end his career. But you can make the same argument for every single player. You know what I mean? NFL it's a contact sport. Ryan Shazier, no one saw that one coming. Sterling Shepard has concussions dating back to high school. He's still playing, and no one's batting an eye about him. This is the reality of the NFL. Anything can happen at any time. You can have a head injury. You could have a back injury. You could have anything. Saquon Barkley, he's missed the majority of his career at this point on the bench because of injuries. But he never really was injured before the NFL. You know what I mean? So we can make these comparisons all day long and saying like the NFL, you never know when a player's going to get injured. If you're going to take a player, if you're going to pass on a player like this because of concussion history, you might be only hurting yourself. But again, there are a bunch of players I'd still rather take. Again, diagnosing plays here. We're talking about a player that has the ability to make decisions on the fly, reactionary. This is an end around. He's chasing that sweep across, but he very quickly realizes this is an end around, and he changes direction, changes the course, very quick on his feet. His agility is fantastic. He stops on a dime, wraps his player up. This is about a 10-yard loss here. You know what I mean? Like, you really can't get much better than this in terms of reacting and making a big splash play for your team. These are the type of things that NFL teams are getting more used to in terms of getting creative, using end arounds and jet sweeps. He reacts incredibly fast. He can make these plays. He can stop them before they even get started. And that's the reality. Like, Jaelan Phillips is very, very smart football player, along with great tangible traits.
Yeah, like I said, football IQ, A+. His read and reactability, A+. Like, he reads plays and then he reacts and he makes phenomenal plays out of them, you know? And another thing here, you see his size, his length really helped him there. The way he was able to pull down that runner, because he just has so much size. That guy can't get around the edge because Jaelan Phillips is the edge. His arm is just extended. And yeah, I just love the way that he reads and reacts and the way he sinks his hips and then changes direction there. You know, he's just really smart football player with a really, really good eye for the running game. He can really read things really well. And I think that's what helps him out a lot, especially, you know, pass rush moves and running game, like all of that stuff together. He's a smart football player and it helps him and it pays a lot of dividends for him.
It is very true. I mean, we saw this kind of play with Micah Parsons, who burst through. Remember, he burst through the line and he cracks that guy in the backfield. Yeah, I mean, it's a vicious play. It's not like that, but it's the reactionary ability of these players. It's just the elite level instincts that you're just kind of born with. You know, you really can't teach football instincts. You can't teach a lot of these mental, like physical IQs for these players. Jaelan Phillips has that natural talent. Micah Parsons has that natural talent. And you really just can't teach those things. You know, you're born with them and just that next level of a football IQ. So let's take a look at a couple more clips here. We only have about 30 seconds left to film, but let's see. So he's on the outside here. Let's see what he does. Another run stop. Again, he sheds blocks like it's nothing.
Yeah, his block shed is really impressive, but what I really love here, again, the way he uses his hands, gets the inside, you know, gets the chest of the offensive tackle, then he has control. And a lot of that is just he's so fast out of his stance. He fires out of his stance, gets his hands up really fast. His hands are very quick. And again, read, react, the way he does everything there. And then he's got those big, long arms and he's able to grab because that length is serious. You know, when we talk about certain edges having length limitations, Jaelan Phillips does not have any limitations with his length. He is just as long and as lanky and as strong as can be. And he's got all of the physical traits necessary to make an impact in the running game and as a pass rusher. Super impressive run stuffing play here. And we've seen plenty of those. And we've just seen a lot of great pass rush moves from him. And yeah, it's not hard to see why a lot of people are really high on this guy.
Yeah, and you know, let's talk about one thing too, because this video is about wrapped up. I'll just play the rest of it out. I think this is the last play. But the NFC East is composed of pretty good offensive lines across the board. You know what I mean? Like you have Dallas, who always has a good offensive line. Washington, who's getting better. And then you have the Eagles, who, you know, have Lane Johnson and whatnot. So they have some good guys. Did Lane Johnson retire? Or am I bugging?
Lane Johnson's been injured like periodically. I don't know if he actually did retire or not, but he has been hurt like every single year for Philadelphia.
Yeah. So either way, having, you know, a star pass rusher against your NFC rivals, always a benefit. They always come up big. Think about every time we play our NFC rivals, they're all over us because they have good pass rushers. Brandon Graham, you know, DeMarcus Lawrence, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. We need a good pass rusher, guys. Like we need one to match up with some of our NFC East rivals, and they're going to beat the hell out of us because of those pass rushers. And I think, you know, with a lot of teams in the NFL having like lack of talent at offensive tackle, having good pass rushers makes it even more makes your defense even better because, you know, with tackles being kind of poor, you'll see a lot of plays like this from Jaelan Phillips at the next level. You'll see him beating guys around the edge. You'll see him using swim moves and baiting offensive tackles. And there's going to be a lot of young tackles in the near future with a lot of guys coming off the board last year and this year. And, you know, you need good pass rush talent. So Jaelan Phillips could 100% be the pick here. I wouldn't be mad about it. I'd be concerned about the injury history. Again, I have my preferences. I have my what I would like to see the Giants do, but I'm not going to be mad about this selection by any means. Having an elite pass rusher is a luxury. Not really a luxury. It's a necessity for a defense. So, you know, this is a guy who you can't really go wrong with except for the injury history. You know, that's the primary concern here, Anthony. Let's give our final remarks. What are you thinking about Jaelan Phillips? Do you think the Giants will take a chance on him? And if so, do you think it's a good move?
I think there's a really good chance that they do draft Jaelan Phillips, whether it's at 11 or they trade down a few spots. And see, I would be ecstatic about that. That is something that I would love because what that tells me is the Giants are doubling down, tripling, quadrupling down on this mentality of players might be injured, but they're supremely talented, and we think that the risk reward benefit, is really strong, right? They did that with Kenny Galladay. He has that hip injury. Okay, but he's super talented, so they signed him anyway. Adoree Jackson as well has a chance to be a CB1 talent playing CB2, but has an injury history. Don't care. Let's sign him. Kyle Rudolph coming off of an injury. Don't care. He's as dependable as possible. Let's sign him. Giants have made that move multiple times this offseason. Now you see a guy in the draft who does have terrible medical history, but is supremely talented, is by far the best pass rusher in the draft, and would be a top 10 talent if it wasn't for those medicals. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the Giants take him at 11. And I would be excited by that pick because you know what? I want as many talented football players on this roster as possible. This guy actually might be the most talented player on the board when the Giants are picking at 11. You can make the argument that he is the best defender in the class. I know that Chris Collinsworth said he is the best defender in the class. Screw the concussions. A lot of people think that. A lot of people think he's the best defender, and the concussions should not matter in that standpoint because, anyone can get concussed. And, of course, concussions do matter. It's scary, and I really hope that he never gets another concussion in his life because I want him to save his brain and protect his body. But another thing, once you get to the NFL, you're going to learn how to tackle better. And Joe Judge is one of those guys who really stresses fundamental tackling to protect his players. He does the live tackling drills in practice so that the players don't injure themselves tackling players in game. And I think that's important. So I think the Giants would be a good environment for him, good situation where he can learn how to tackle, protect his head, protect his body. And then, of course, Giants need a pass rusher. They need that number one elite guy. I've been saying this to Alex. The Giants are not going to fix their pass rush situation the way that we want them to until they invest a ton into it, whether that be with a huge contract in free agency or a first-round draft pick. They haven't done it yet, and they got to do it. Of course, you'd rather a draft pick because it's way cheaper, right? But also, you would love it because this guy is just supremely talented, top 10 talent, just has some medical history. For me personally, yeah, I'm worried by it. I'm scared about it, the medical history. The benefits far outweigh the risk for me. I just think that this is a guy that's so talented. If he's on the board and the Giants take him at 11, I will actually be over the moon because I just can't wait to see the Giants have this level of a pass rusher off the edge because they haven't had that in quite a few years now.
I wish the Giants had another mid-round first pick or something that they could spend on Jaelan Phillips and get their elite guy at 11. All these teams moving back and getting more first-rounders really pissing me off because I wish we were kind of in the same scenario. But guys, hope you enjoyed this Jaelan Phillips breakdown, taking a look at him and what he has to offer. I know you're probably walking away from this saying he is a freaking awesome player, but again, kind of concerned about the concussions. Maybe I want to go with Waddle Smith, which is totally fine. I kind of in the same boat as you are. But again, great player. He's going to have a pretty good career if he stays healthy. That's the big one. But I just want to say thank you for tuning in and staying for the whole 43 minutes if you did stay for this entire length of the video. And stay tuned for our draft video. We'll be doing a live stream draft, on Thursday night. We'll be doing the whole first round. We'll probably do another one just before to give our last mock draft scenario, give our last take on who we think the Giants are going to pick. So we'll see what that turns out to be. But I hope you guys are having an awesome weekend and you enjoy the rest of your week as we prepare for the draft. And we'll catch you guys on the next video.